High-grade Universal Century Byarlant Custom.
Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs Gundam Reviews.net, and it's time for Amro to get out of the way and the focus to go back to UC, not the Universal Century, well, I suppose that too, but Gundam Unicorn and its Byarlant Custom. You've already seen the introduction, the parts, and the MS, but anyway, here's my final thoughts and the good and bad things that I could pick out so that you can make your own call for this very interesting looking MS and model. To kick things off with the negatives, you're going to have to look at a few issues here, starting with the fact that you're going to have what seems like almost infinite posability, as he's got good moving legs there, good moving arms, especially with the shoulders when you consider how bulky they are. You can do a surprising amount with them in the thrusters. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like he's going to have all that many poses, and you can sometimes get that impression from Bandai as well. If you take a look around the manual, especially a 5-page one here with extra color pages, and the side of the box, well, they're going to show off just a few action poses, and there's really not all that more. And usually the focus is going to be having him up in the air. And speaking of which, it just seems a little bit strange that first of all, you can't use an action base 2. Completely understandable though, because of the size of this kit. But if they're going to give you a custom action mount there, you'd think that they could just give you one piece of plastic and plug that in. It's the kind of thing that we're used to on so many other Master Grays, that they're just going to have a regular one little gray piece that's going to plug in directly to the action base one. With this guy, you're going to have to go digging around or root through and find the little custom attachment parts that you may have already thrown out and then attach on two gray ones. It all just seems a little bit redundant. Some of the other parts though, in terms of posability, the thrusters are not going to be moving all that much. The side skirts, they don't move all that much. The back ankles here, they're going to do a good job of keeping them up sometimes, but at the same time, you're not going to do all that well there for the flat foot test. The thruster back here on the waist is going to be locked into place. You can't do all that much with it. And the thrusters and the fuel tanks are going to cause weight issues if you try to bring them too much back when he's in a ground pose, unless you try to bring the arms or something really forward. The head and neck are also not going to move all that much there, and the waist section, well, is going to be pretty limited. But I think you've got to get right away into the biggest complaints here. They're going to be advertising that they're going to be giving you seals, but for $2,600, you'd think that they could almost give you master grade level seals, or at least a few more. Whether they wanted to give you dry decals or water attached decals, if you don't want that film around the EFF sticker when you put it on, or of course you can just choose to omit it. But it seems to be showing up in a lot of the promo images, and of course it showed up in the manga, so that's why I'm going to be putting it on there. If somebody can refresh my memory, was it on there in all the shots in the anime, or maybe just the introductory ones? Anyway, it just would have been nice if they had given you a couple other sheets. We've seen some kits providing 4 or 5 sticker sheets, never mind the amazing real grade ones, for a very comparable price, if not, I mean, give or take 100 yen here. You'd think that there would be some options. But speaking of stickers, this has got to go down as the biggest disappointment for me. You can see some bright, rich red there on the inside of the thrusters there, and on the back of the waist section, on the front of the waist section, and on the insides here of the thrusters. But when you look at the other red parts, and I'm looking specifically, the ones on the back of the legs are going to be hidden, but they're almost impossible to get those stickers in there and to get them in there properly. And you've also got some gray stickers here that if you hide the red parts there, A, it's going to be hiding another color on the chest, but B, they're also just going to look like they are gray. They're not going to match the color of the plastic perfectly, but it's the red stickers that are going to be sticking inside here around these gray vents where you've got them sticking all lined up down there. They're just begging to be painted up. And more importantly, these ones here, when you look on the side of the box and it's painted up by a pro, it looks fantastic to see the red beside the navy blue and the rest of the blue on the body there. But when you see it in practice, the light reflecting off the seals is definitely going to look different, and it's even worse for the way that they're trying to get you to put it in. You've got this triangular, not triangular, but you got the idea where you're going to have 3 sides here for the seal when you put it in. It's not going to bevel smoothly, and then you've got separations as you put them in on the top. You're not going to be able to butt those to the lower ones perfectly, and basically it's just going to cause a whole bunch of ugliness down here, thankfully mostly hidden, but also up here, and especially on the side skirts, those red parts. Seeing a kit of this size, this kind of majesty, if you want to put it that way, and you've got the options. It's not like these are small parts. They could have been red parts. You've got a big red plate, just make it a little bit bigger and put a red piece on the inside there. They did it on the back, and they did it on half of the inside of the thrusters. Why didn't they do it everywhere? But having gone off for over a minute on the stickers, what about the positives for this kit? Well, I gotta tell you that there are a ton of them. Starting with just the fact that when you open up the box for 2,600 yen, you're going to feel like you're getting that much in plastic. So it definitely seems like you're going to have a lot of value. And the little things, yes, it would have been nice to have more of these, but at least you're going to be throwing it in. And the little kind of bonuses like that. You do have the attachment point for the base, but more importantly, the build is going to be a lot of fun. First of all, the color selection, again, back to the plates, lots of good green there, and the red that they are going to give you is going to look fantastic. It's a great compliment. And the yellow, you're going to see a lot more of it than you'd think because it's really going to draw your eyes to the head, show off the green piping all around there, and the clear green part that they went to the trouble of adding for the eyes, even though there isn't a seal option there. They're going to look fantastic. I don't think you're going to regret it at all. Painting it up would just seem to be redundant. So you're going to have some great colors, great builds when you're putting everything together from the thrusters to the legs, and especially the shoulders and the arms with all of these moving parts here, combined with the fact that even though he doesn't seem to have a lot of poses, he has a lot of posability, if it seems to make sense. The legs are going to move where you want them to go. The arms are going to move around in all sorts of interesting directions there. And if you want to go take a look at the thrusters and everything back here, you can move them in all sorts of different dynamic directions here. Move these gray parts independently, move those little veins independently. And the fact that the arms are going to move so well here so that you can have the beam sabers separating themselves from the claw. They could have been lazy and had this part be static and just one part moving, but no, they're both going to open up. You can twist, you can maneuver them, you can have two hands grabbing and two hands slicing. And I think that that right there is definitely going to be just a lot of fun for putting this kit together. The EFF on the shoulder is definitely going to break up the monotony of the kit, if it even is monotonous. If you did think it was monotonous, I think that seal is definitely going to break it up. If the colors and just the overall style doesn't do it for you. But overall, when you've just got this kind of decent, good posability with a decent amount of poses, a really good color scheme, a fun build, and just some great play value with the different things that you can do with the arms, this kit is definitely going to be getting my full recommendation. And that's despite the fact that, like I said, when it was announced, all sorts of people were really excited about it, and I thought it was cool, but I didn't jump on the bandwagon right away. But nonetheless, as soon as I read the manga, which definitely set up the whole purchase for me, it's just a lot of fun to read this, and I hope that you have a chance to check it out somewhere online or just getting the actual book itself. But when you actually, between the manga, but more importantly, just putting this kit together, even if you hadn't seen the OVA, even if you weren't impressed with its overall, it had a lot of hype, and then it didn't have all that great a showing in terms of the actual anime. But then seeing just the kit, even if you knew nothing of the manga, nothing of the OVA, I think putting it together between the construction and just the overall visual impact of this kit, from its height and its width and its overall filled out parts, and it's still going to have that interesting contrast between the big bulk you're going to see for the shoulders and the chest, and the backpacks compared to the skinny legs and parts and the tiny little arms, almost T-Rex, except for the fact that you know you don't want to mess with them in four parts. This guy is definitely going to capture the power that the anime didn't even seem to show off, but instead I'm going to say he captures the power of the potential of the MS design, which had so many people excited. So if you liked the MS design, I'm pretty sure that you're really going to like this Gunpla 3D representation of it. So how about the future for this kit? Well, first of all, I gotta say that this could have been put under the negatives, but more future talk. It is disappointing that the plates didn't seem to indicate that we're going to be getting a Byarlant to go along with Jaren Messa's suits, which we don't have enough of from Zeta Gundam, and especially as the lead antagonist, well, pretty much leading up until the end of the series. It would be nice to have more of his suits to face off against Quattro, Camille, and the gang. Anyway, you can see that we're only going to be getting the custom. The custom definitely seems the better of the two. Although if they wanted to go with an old school retro purple, I don't think there'd be that many people that would complain, and you've got to wonder if there's going to be anything they could take away with the designs of the plates. They don't seem to indicate it, but then again, Bandai, if they had a plan for two, you know that they would have had it at least in process, or they would have had the plan in motion, so that they can check out the sales of the HGUC and then go accordingly from there, while all the same time checking out how old school stuff like the Hanbrabi from Zeta might be selling. The big question is going to be, you can see the Jesta down there, which definitely delighted a lot of people when they announced that it's going to be getting another HGUC variation, so maybe it does bode well for two of these. But more importantly, it's going to be getting a master grade, and we don't have all that many grunts and production suits, even though it had some 3 stars flying it out the first time. The Jesta getting a master grade, you've got to wonder if it could be possible that we could be getting this. There's a chunk of plastic in here keeping it at 2,600. If they were going to go master grade, what do you think, around 6,000? It doesn't seem to be all that bad, but it would be an absolute monster. Well, hopefully it would still not have the same kind of problems that you're going to have with the Cachetria or something like that, where they're just really too big to be 1/100th with all that extra plastic. This guy, the HGUC, seems to work out, and it doesn't seem like his frame is so heavy that he'd be having too much plastic in there. So what do you think? Could we be getting a master grade? Would you be picking it up? Do you need an inner frame? Or are you looking for an old school Byarlant like me? Anyway, love to hear from you with a comment down below. So the Byarlant Custom has carried on in Unicorn's long tradition of taking old school, seemingly silly mobile suits and making them all the cooler, and of course selling a lot of plastic models along the way with it. Anyway, everybody, thanks as always for watching. It was a lot of fun for me because I went in with low expectations. However, it definitely exceeded all of them, and I hope you have a chance to check out both the manga and, of course, the Gunpla itself. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know what you think, as always, of the video itself, and we'll see you next time with lots more news, reviews, and everything else you can use. See ya. I don't know, did you really think that we were based on such unpopular mobile suits that we never got our due? Well, it's not so much us, but I'm talking about Juagu and Zogok. I mean, is there anybody born after 1970 who really thinks those are cool mobile suits? Well, if you saw Unicorn episode 4 and 5, probably yes.